So thanks for joining me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Angie Jenkins, and I'm the director of Fit for Life and the creator of the Train, Nourish, Flourish retreats. And I have nearly 3 decades of experience in the nutrition and fitness realm. And I've had the privilege of studying with some of the world's leading strength and conditioning coaches and nutrition experts, which significantly shaped my approach to health and well-being. And throughout my journey, I've accumulated multiple certifications, but perhaps more importantly, I've cultivated a deep appreciation for lifelong education. And my commitment to learning was driven by my own personal story. In my early 20s, I faced some health challenges, and watching my family members struggle with diabetes and obesity really made me determined to take a different path. I basically didn't want to go down that road for myself. And then in around 2020, I was diagnosed with low thyroid. I was experiencing migraines, muscle aches, sleep problems, and being a fitness professional, this really affected my recovery, particularly after exercise. So if I fast forward to today, I remain as curious as ever about the body and its capabilities. And what I've come to realize is that the body is truly remarkable and has the incredible potential to heal itself when provided with the right environment. And I believe that with the proper knowledge and support, we can access our body's own healing processes. And I'm on a mission to help women feel amazing by helping them sync with their biology and not fighting against it. So thanks again for joining me. And we are recording this, so I do need to, as always, have a disclaimer. This masterclass is designed for educational purposes only, and it's not intended to diagnose, treat, or recommend any specific therapies. And while I aim to provide valuable information, it is essential that you consult your medical provider before making any health-related decisions. And the content presented is meant to serve as a tool to empower you to investigate for yourself so you can make informed decisions regarding your own health and well-being. So I'm going to cover the perimenopause basics, and then we'll look at the role of estrogen dominance. Then I'm going to shift into the quantum health, specifically how light and your environment influence your hormones. And finally, I'll show you how food, movement, and changing your light environment can help you work with your body, but not against it. So hopefully that all sounds good. Let's get going. So perimenopause and hormonal shifts. Now, perimenopause is often viewed as a decline, a biological decline, but I like to look at it as an energetic shift. It's a recalibration of how our bodies interact with light, food, and the world around us. And in my own journey to understand this stage of life more deeply, I explored both traditional Chinese medicine and quantum or circadian based perspectives. And these approaches see the body as an interconnected whole, where timing of light and lifestyle shape how we age. And as our hormones shift, our sensitivity to light, meal timing, and environmental cues become even more important. And one of the most eye-opening discoveries I made was the work of Dr. Wendy Sallin. Now, she is a leader in breast thermography. Now, I want to share her book with her, and I do have some resources. So this is called The Breast Thermography Revolution. It's kind of like an encyclopedia, and she does have the Coles Notes version of it. But her research revealed visual evidence on how hormone therapies like birth control and even certain healthy estrogenic foods can create adverse effects in breast tissue. So she has a totally different perspective on perimenopause and what are the root causes than what we kind of get from traditional allopathic doctors. In fact, it's the exact opposite. And I just recommend going to her website and having a look at this book. And I'm going to discuss some of those factors in this presentation as well. Primarily, she says it's more estrogen dominance rather than low estrogen that's playing factors in our hormonal health. Okay, so let's start by normalizing this transition. Menopause is a natural stage, it's not a disease. And in traditional Chinese medicine, it's actually seen as a second spring or a time of renewal. So if we look at perimenopause, this is considered the transition time before menopause. And hormonal changes can begin and symptoms can show up as early as your 30s and even your 40s. Now, natural menopause is deemed to have occurred after 12 consecutive months without a period or your menstruation, and the average age is said to be around 51. And if it's prior to age 40, that's considered premature menopause. And if it's between 40 to 45, it's considered early. And there are other health considerations or conditions that may play a factor, such as surgical removal of the ovaries or uterus, maybe radiation and chemotherapy, and the odd occasion, hereditary is considered a player. Now, there are a few key hormones that run the show. Now, hormones are extremely important chemical messengers that affect every aspect of our overall health. So these hormones are made by our endocrine system, and they work like a symphony. They have to play in tune for a person to be healthy. And when there is one imbalance in one hormone, the others follow suit. And hormones affect every tissue and organ in our body. They impact everything from gut function, muscle growth and recovery, bone health, and brain function. So when every instrument is in tune, they play the most beautiful song. If just one instrument is out of tune, that is, one hormone is out of balance, the entire piece is thrown off and you feel it. And what isn't really talked about is that these hormones are deeply intertwined with our light environment, our circadian timing, and the food that we eat. Well, we kind of know that, the food that we eat, but it's not just about our age. So I'm just going to touch on a few of these hormones that are our main players. So estrogen is considered our builder, the builder. So developing girls need this hormone for the development of their fallopian tubes, vagina, uterus, breast, and skeleton, as well as fat content. So estrogen causes cells to develop rapidly, which increases stimulation in your breast. Now, this stimulation is completely natural during a young woman's developmental stage, but as a fully matured woman, overstimulation of the breast by estrogenic factors can be quite harmful. And we can become dominant when our detoxification pathways become sluggish. So think of like poor gut function or low movements, and even toxic exposures, things like synthetic pharmaceuticals, such as the pill. Like how many of us have been on the pill as young women? Even things like phytoestrogens, which are plant derived and commercial synthetics. They all contribute to hormonal imbalances. So this is generally termed estrogen dominance or progesterone deficiency. And our modern lifestyle, like eating processed foods, and I'm going to touch a lot on this throughout the presentation. Artificial light, particularly at night. This is a huge driver and contributes to the overload and hormonal imbalances. Next, we have progesterone, the calmer hormone. So progesterone is your keep calm and carry on hormone because of its ability to soothe the nervous system. Its roles include supporting your breast health, your cardiovascular health, and the health of your nervous system. It also helps maintain healthy brain function, mood regulation, and it plays a role in easing anxiety, facilitating memory, and promoting healthy sleep and relaxation. Now, progesterone is replenished during deep sleep and parasympathetic states, and light regulates melatonin, which helps unlock our progesterone's calming effects. Next, we have cortisol, We might know this as the stress hormone or the first responder. Now, cortisol should rise with natural light in the morning. And again, I'm going to talk about artificial light at night and ongoing stress. This can keep it chronically high, leading to excess belly fat, fatigue, and burnout. Then we have insulin. So insulin is our sugar regulator. And again, insulin is controlled by circadian rhythms. So if you're doing things like eating late at night or too close to bed, this is sending confusing signals to your metabolic system. And morning light helps to restore your insulin sensitivity. Next, thyroid. The thermostat, again, it needs specific wavelengths, particularly in the UVA sections of light, for activation of this hormone. And again, if we're under blue light dominance, which we find in all artificial light in our screens, hence, and I'll go a little bit into these funny yellow colored lenses I'm wearing in a minute, but the presence of this blue light that we're constantly exposed to, particularly if you do work in an office setting, equals sluggish thyroid, equals fatigue, and possibly weight gain. And then we have leptin, which not too many people have heard about. And this is our energy sensor. And this needs dark nights. So it's released at night in the dark. Basically, what leptin does is it signals fullness, it assists with fat burning, and it assists with our body's energy balance. So we need this strong light dark contrast, so bright mornings and bright daytime, but darkness at night. So how many of us are on screens late at night? I know, hence it's like 7:30 now and we're on a screen, but I'm going to share some little, I don't like to call them hacks, but they're just little adjustments you can make to your lifestyle so we can live in the modern world with our technology and not have it wreak havoc on our hormones. Now we have melatonin, and this is our antioxidant queen. Most of us think of melatonin as our sleep hormone, which is true, but it's actually built from the morning sunlight via serotonin, and it's triggered by darkness. So melatonin protects our mitochondria as well as improves our sleep, and it supports our hormone repair. So we need to be sleeping properly so we can clean out the junk from the cells in the evening whilst we're sleeping to repair. And lastly, I'm just going to touch on DHEA and testosterone, which are considered the vitality hormones. And these decline with age and stress, but you can support them through natural sunlight, strength training, and of course, we do need rest and recovery. So mitochondrial health basically equals hormonal health. So here's just a list of some signs you could be estrogen dominance. Now, how many of us have any one of these symptoms? Hot flashes, anxiety, endometriosis, fibroids, excuse me, energy issues, brain fog. Need I go on? So now, just getting into some of the root causes, and then we're going to go into some strategies, what we can do about it. So mitochondrial and circadian disruption. So as I've been saying, this artificial light at night and not getting enough natural light during the day is really signaling to our body that there's a mismatch. So when our body clocks are out of sync, everything goes sideways. So quick question, and throw your answer in the chat, be honest. Is your phone the first thing that you look at in the morning? I can't see the answer right now, but I will check it when I finish the presentation. But that single habit could be impacting your sleep, your mood, and your metabolism. See, our bodies are biologically designed to follow the natural rhythms of light and dark. Your internal clocks are light sensitive. However, exposure to this artificial light, especially in the form of blue and white LEDs, can seriously disrupt our natural balance. This type of light suppresses melatonin production, which is the hormone for regeneration and sleep, and it interferes with the release of leptin, which is our master hormone that helps regulate our appetite and metabolism. Now, when melatonin is blocked and leptin can't signal properly, our bodies remain in a stressed alert state. So cortisol stays elevated, sleep is compromised, and you end up with cravings, particularly for those refined sugary carbohydrates. So this disruption can lead to hormonal imbalances and make it harder to manage weight, sleep, and mood during perimenopause and menopause. So most of us know that the mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell where energy is produced, but they do way more than just produce energy. They produce light and they produce water. Now, I'm not going to get into the water bit in this presentation, but I don't hear very many people talking about the different things that the mitochondria do. They basically rely on these natural light cues, like our reds and infrareds that you see in sunrise and sunset, to function optimally and regenerate. And so when we're spending too much time indoors and under artificial lighting, or staring at screens, I refer to this as kind of junk light. You can have junk light just like you have junk food. Your mitochondria become sluggish and less efficient at producing energy. And now over time, this mitochondria dysfunction contributes to fatigue, mood swings, inflammation, and slower detoxification, all of which can increase the severity of our perimenopause or menopausal symptoms. Now remember, every organ in the body, including the liver, the ovaries, the brain, has its own biological clock. And when these clocks are misaligned, it creates confusion in the body's communication system, particularly around hormone production and our detoxification process. This mismatch can lead to estrogen dominance and other hormonal imbalances by altering the timing of the vital physiological events, such as cortisol release in the morning or estrogen clearance at night. And eating late at night and irregular sleep patterns and exposure to screens and this artificial light can throw off our body's internal clocks. So what are some other factors? Obviously, we have to consider poor diet. Our Western diets are typically high in unhealthy fats and simple carbohydrates like refined sugars, breads, pastas, and seed oils, and relatively low in the healthy essential nutrients, which are certainly an issue for hormonal health. And unhealthy food is quite taxing on our liver, which is our main organ responsible for detoxification. So if we burden the liver, it must expend a lot of energy to detoxify these unwanted compounds in the body, and it takes a lot of work and can exhaust the liver, making it eventually inefficient to be performing its other functions, and one of those is removing excess estrogen. So then we have stress. This is huge. We underestimate how stress affects our physiology. If you're under chronic stress, your adrenal glands will shift its focus to producing more cortisol to deal with the stress. And the high demand for cortisol is taking away the resources to create our other feel-good hormones like progesterone. So it's important that we find ways to de-stress and relax. And it can be different for everyone. And then we're looking at sleep problems. Again, who here, and hit me up in the chat, struggles to sleep 7 to 9 hours? That's uninterrupted sleep. Without this quality sleep, our hormones like our melatonin, cortisol, and progesterone can't reset properly. And lack of lean mass and movement. So did you know that estrogen is actually stored in your fat tissue? So the more fat you have, the more likely you are to be storing more estrogen. And that's why building muscle and reducing inflammation through movement is so powerful. And I love walking outdoors. because of the natural light. And don't worry if it's cloudy, because we still get the benefits of that infrared through the clouds and even in the shade. And this all boosts our mitochondrial health. And the last thing that I think we underestimate is our endocrine disrupting chemicals. And I'll get a little bit into this. So now here's where we shift into action. There are some easy strategies that you can implement. Again, we can't do everything all at once, but we can do our best and take it step by step. So the important takeaway is to let light lead. Light isn't just for seeing, it's information and it's a nutrient. And each wavelength triggers specific hormonal mitochondrial processes. So let's start aligning with the sun again. And actually, did you know that we only get 30% of our energy from food? So where do you think the other 70% of the energy comes from? Again, just hit me up in the chat. I'm going to look at it after. Now, if you said light, fantastic. If you said light and grounding, even better. So let's look at some of the times of day and what's happening. So if we get out in sunrise, this is where we want our cortisol to start its production. And this actually helps our circadian rhythm reset for the day. And then we have UVA, and again, it depends on where in the world you live. UVA is generally around an hour or two after sunrise. I like to use apps to help me identify when these different times of the day are, so I know that I'm getting the different spectrums of light. So the UVA is specifically helpful for boosting all these sex hormones. And then we have the UVB, which is our midday sun. And the midday sun is very important for producing vitamin D, boosting our metabolism, and helping with fat burning. And lastly, we have our sunset, and that where our melatonin is kicked off. And the evening darkness actually triggers this melatonin. So grounding or earthing connects the body to the Earth's natural electrical field, and this allows us to absorb these free electrons. So basically, it's considered nature's antioxidant, and grounding can help with reducing inflammation, improving your sleep, supporting hormone balance, and calming the nervous system. And easy ways to do it: walk barefoot out on the beach, grass, soil, or sand. You can actually take a bath. I think most of us shower, but plumbing is grounded, so you are getting some sort of grounding when you take a bath or shower. We want to swim in seas, lakes, and natural springs. Stand or walk in the rain. Lean on a living tree, that's conductive. And even sitting on concrete, that's conductive as well. I'm experimenting. I just bought myself some grounding shoes. So they have little copper wires in the bottom of them, and they're specifically designed so when you are walking outside with the shoes on, they actually ground you to the earth. So I got my pair of sandals, and I just got a pair of trainers. So they only arrived yesterday, so I'm looking forward to using those. So how are we going to practice the circadian hygiene? So this is a game changer, and I know it's difficult, particularly if you're in the northern latitudes, but try and get out for sunrise daily. It's the consistency that's going to make the difference. Anywhere from 5, the longer the better. Obviously, I realize people have to go to work and they have children, and sunrise is really early in Ireland. Anyway, I'm generally up by 5:30, but make that morning, that first light that you see, natural light, the daylight. Open your window, stick your head out the window. If you do work in an office building, make sure to take light breaks throughout the day. Now, with our hybrid working culture, many people can work from home now. Even opening the window in your office, light reflects. You're getting those natural spectrums of light into your room. So open windows and head outside frequently, even if it's only for a couple of minutes. Now, we want to avoid screens after sunset, or if we have to be on screens. Um, we want to make sure to use amber or red light bulbs in the evening, or lamps with no overhead bright lights. So these are little lights. They're USB plug-in lights. That's a yellow non-flicker light, and there are companies that are doing these. I'll leave these in the resources. This is another light that I use. Particularly in the winter. So if I need to go to the toilet, I don't flick my overhead light on. I use one of these lights, and I travel with these as well. And it will make a huge difference. And then you have the blue blocking technology. So these glasses that I have on are mainly for daytime. It is still bright out here. However, it is coming up on 8 o'clock. So I tend to, even in the summer when the sun doesn't set, I have an orange pair as well. And particularly if I have to work on my screen late at night, I'll put the orange pair on, or the orange pair will go on if I do watch television. I try to avoid the television as much as possible. So using these blue blocking glasses can have a huge impact on our circadian rhythm. And another thing is to kind of try avoid eating after dark. Again, our dark here in Ireland is quite late, like at 10, it's after 10 p.m. But we do want the body to be able to rest and recover while we're sleeping. So the closer we eat to bedtime, the more likely we'll be digesting our food rather than doing all the processes the body needs to do to regenerate. So some environmental strategies, and I think more and more people are becoming aware of food pesticides, herbicides. So try to aim to eat organic as much as possible, and stop supporting the companies that are poisoning us, basically. We can shift to better household cleaning products, better personal care products. These all absorb into our skin. Plastics, changing our food storage to glass or stainless steel, even down to this synthetic fibers in our clothing. Now, I'm not saying go throw out your whole wardrobe, but specifically the things that we're in quite a bit. So, I mean, our sleeping clothes, our bed linen, we want organic fibers, or cotton at best, linen, things like that, and anything that's fitting close to your body. I found a company that does amazing organic cotton underwear. So although I do have, still synthetic clothing, I'm slowly changing out things like my underwear and, pajamas and towels and things like that. Even down to like the flame retardants in our furniture. And this is a huge one, non-stick cookware. If it's Teflon, throw it out. Stainless steel or non-coated ceramic are generally better options. Again, these are all hormone disruptors. And the ALAN, artificial light at night, in EMFs, although they're invisible, they do disrupt our hormones as well. So even a simple exercise as like shutting off your Wi-Fi at night before you go to sleep can help. So let's just move quickly on to food. Now, this list here, these are a list of the top 5 phytoestrogens. So these foods contain high amounts of estrogen. And again, this comes from Wendy Salins. She is saying it's not only the synthetic stuff, the plastics that we're all aware of, and the toxins in our environment that we can't really do too much about, but we can do our best. But the foods that are being promoted to raise estrogen are actually the issue rather than low estrogen. So things like flax, soya, sesame, multigrain, and even chickpeas are, she's saying that these are really raising our estrogens and more likely causing these or contributing to these menopausal symptoms. And then, things that we apply to our skin in concentration. Now, lavender is a huge one. and a lot of the essential oils, so essential oils were meant as medicine and only to be used for short periods of time. But nowadays we have all these essential oils in loads of different products. It doesn't matter if it's a synthetic product or a natural product. I like to use a Irish company that make tallow-based creams, and it has like frankincense and a lot of products have lavender in it. So I recommend looking at all these things. And I'm not talking about putting basil in your, bolognese sauce or oregano or a peppermint tea. This is the concentrated oils that can really raise your estrogen levels. So let's look at, food. Food is information. So we want to eat with the sun. So trying to have breakfast after sunrise and making that breakfast more of a protein and fat base rather than your typical cereals, oatmeal, fruits, yogurt that tend to spike blood sugar. We want to be satiated, plus we want to even out our blood sugar, and we can do that with a nice fat and protein based breakfast. And ladies, don't skip breakfast. I know there's a lot of information on intermittent fasting and fasting, which can be helpful and beneficial. But if you are going through this phase in life, the better time to do the fast is at the end of the day. So stop eating before dark or 3 to 4 hours before bed. Remember, food is also a signal. Or a timekeeper to the body. So we want that first sunlight as early as we can, and then we want to eat within an hour of waking, and we want it to be mainly fat and protein based, like a nice omelet. And what else do we have here? Choosing seasonal, local foods. Remember, our food carries information, light information. And obviously processed foods carry very little information. So protein is considered our building blocks. Carbohydrates and fats are primarily for energy. And we need to prioritize good quality animal-based proteins. You can use plant proteins, however, they don't really have all the spectrum of amino acids, and you'd have to consume do a lot of combining and consume a lot of carbohydrate to get what the body needs in protein. So a nice variety of good quality, ethically raised animal-based proteins. Our healthy fats are the same. These are our saturated fats. Our ghee, our butter, duck fat, avocado, coconut oil, tallow, omega-3 fats, like in sardines. The smaller the fish, the better. And olive oil, that's more of a monounsaturated fat along with the avocado oil. But we don't want to cook in this because the high heat destroys that. And we want to avoid unhealthy fats, which are rapeseed, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil. And these are all the oils that we're encouraged to use as heart healthy. Seasonal carbohydrates, as I mentioned a little bit more. I like to do more root veg in the winter, salads and fruits in the spring and summer. We want them to be easy to digest, and we want to avoid most, processed grains and flour-based products, even including oats, depending on where you're at. And one of my pet peeves are these fake milks, these soy and almond and rice milk. If you look at the ingredients, you'll notice that they'll have those seed oils in them, and they're very highly inflammatory. And lastly, hydration and water. We want to make sure we sip unfiltered or spring water throughout the day. And we do really, particularly if you live in a city, you want to avoid drinking tap water and invest in a good quality filter. And get into the habit of the first thing you do is that natural light, and then going straight for a pint of water, and maybe you're putting a little bit of citrus, lemon, lime in it. And obviously we want to reduce as much caffeinated beverages as possible. And alcohol, there's just basically no use for alcohol. Really disrupts our hormones. Now movement. we want to embrace strength training and ditch excessive cardio, things like jogging and spin classes. And particularly when we get into spin classes, they have these nice flashy artificial lights. So with our declining hormones, these intense workouts will increase cortisol, and that's not really ideal. So we want to consider good quality strength training using compound exercises. And we want to consider getting outdoors more. I like to use the gym only for lifting my weights, and all my, cardiovascular work, which is primarily just walking nowadays, is done outside as much as possible. So strength training can include things like body weight exercises, forms of yoga and Pilates are ideal, but the key is we do need to lift heavy stuff as we age. Again, I want to look at exercise in a different light. It doesn't have to be for 1 hour at one specific time of the day. You can spread it throughout the day, and particularly if you do work in an office, you want to make sure you take up regular movement snacks and light breaks as well. So this is an opportunity for you to kind of set your alarm to go off, say every 60 to 75 minutes, and get up and move for 5 to 10 minutes. And that can mean like going outside if you're working from home, outside your house, go for a little walk around your block, do 10 body weight squats. I think I recently saw a video on a recent study that came out that said doing 20 body weight squats every hour can help to manage your blood sugar the same as a 30-minute walk. Now, don't quote me on that, but I think it was like a 30-minute or to a 60-minute walk. So by simply doing small little movement snacks throughout the day, and particularly outdoor movement can boost your circadian rhythm, but these movement snacks can reduce your risk of osteoporosis. It can help improve your ligament in your joint structures, and it can help to increase your metabolic rates, which makes it easier for you to manage your weight as we age. Now, I just wanted to touch quickly on the original light medicine, which is called heliotherapy. I'm not sure if anybody has heard of this. But long before modern medicine, sunlight was actually used as a powerful healing tool and as a practice known as heliotherapy. And in the early 1900s, Dr. Niels Finsen, who was a Danish physician, pioneered the use of focused light therapy to treat conditions like tuberculosis and lupus. And his discovery showed that specific wavelengths of light could stimulate healing, reduce inflammation, and support the immune system, which I think is laying the foundations for today's light-based therapies. And he actually won a Nobel Peace Prize for Medicine in 1903. And that's where I came across this company called LifeWave. I just wanted to introduce this technology to you. It is basically what they are. They're phototherapy patches. So according to the New England Journal of Medicine, that it states that the #1 indicator of wellness is directly correlated to the number of stem cells in our bloodstream. Now, stem cells are cells with the potential to develop into any kind of cell needed. They have the incredible ability to heal and repair any organ and tissue. And while the need for adult stem cells increases dramatically as we age, fewer and fewer of them are released into the blood cells. Now, a teenager has approximately a billion circulating activated stem cells. And then by the age of 30, this number drops to about 400 million. And then by the age of 50, it's 250 million. And by the age of 60, it's 100 million. And by the age of 80, our stem cells in circulation have dropped to about 50 million. So basically how these patches work, they contain an organically based nanocrystal mixture, which is a patented technology, and it absorbs and traps the body's heat. So I mentioned that our mitochondria produce water and produce light. So this patch reflects the specific parts of this spectrum of light back into the skin, and then it increases the production of a peptide called a GHKCU, which is a copper peptide, and in turn this activates more stem cells. So activating stem cells from the skin can change into any other type of stem cells and can promote our natural process or healing and repair and regeneration. So I am just testing these out myself. I've been using them for about 8 weeks. I've been noticing a little bit better sleep and a little bit more energy. They do have different types of patches, but what really blew me away was I was hiking about 3 weeks ago, and I had a nasty fall. And if you know the plank boards with the little hooks on them, well, my foot got stuck. I went down on my right hand and smashed my hand. My thumb started to blow up immediately. I did a front roll, jammed my shoulder. Anyway, I was in agony. I had these pain patches. They have ones for pain as well, but the flagship product is the stem cell product, the X39 it's called. So anyway, I put these patches on, and by the end of the night, I could move my thumb. I had no pain in my shoulder, so I just had a really good experience with these myself. So I just wanted to mention that this is because it ties well with light as therapy. So just to conclude things, you are light and we are not broken, and our hormones are simply listening to our environment, and small daily shifts in how we eat, move, and our lighting environment can change everything. And so just to wrap things up again, thanks for joining me. And what are the next steps? Well, if you want to go deeper, I'd love to invite you to my Portugal retreat. I am running a retreat from the 23rd to the 28th. It's going to be a full body reset, and it's rooted in everything we talked about today, or perhaps you'd prefer a more personal approach. I also offer one-to-one coaching. And I am hoping to be able to offer a group membership as well. So it's more like group coaching. So I'm looking to launch this in the autumn. So it will consist of like monthly live teaching sessions like today's talk, but I go a little bit deeper into different topics each month. And then we'll have a weekly Q&A in the group calls. And I do have a TNF, or a Train, Nourish, Flourish Wellness Hub, where I've pre-recorded yoga sessions, Pilates sessions, and strength classes in there. Now, I'm not that active on social media at the moment, but I do plan to be. That's where you can follow me. And if you do want to have a chat about the retreat or one-to-one coaching, I'll leave you my details there. So once again, I've left a few resources here, and I'm just going to stop the share. And cool. Oh, cool. You used them already, Naomi. Amazing.